This episode of Bullet Heaven was made possible with a code provided by Project Rolling Gunner. This is a game that barely needs an introduction here on Bullet Heaven. It was an immediate hit when we reviewed it, and it would be deemed the best shoot-'em-up of 2018. It somehow got even better when it hit the Nintendo Switch, and now a full-featured DLC mode is available that more or less redefines its gameplay in the kind of way that warrants a full review. Rolling Gunner Overpower is a digital add-on to the excellent original game that saw release to PC on February 3rd, 2020. With additional bullet-canceling mechanics, completely redefined controls, additional hazards, and a remixed soundtrack in tow, how does Overpower fare against the excellent original? Let's take a closer look. The most striking difference Rolling Gunner Overpower has to the original Rolling Gunner is in its control. Rolling Gunner Overpower shifts to a hybrid traditional twin-stick style setup that gives players a huge amount of control, including direct control over the rolling gun. All of the basics are here. Players move with the D-pad or left analog stick, and the rolling gun will aim in the opposite direction the player moves. Players can fire rapid shots with quick movement or shift fire to the rolling gun, which locks the rolling gun in place and slows movement to a rate much better suited to avoiding dense bullet curtains. All of the inputs to fire the player's weapons can be handled with the face buttons in the exact same manner as the original Rolling Gunner mode. But Rolling Power works a bit differently, and, dare we say it better, in a few ways. While the Rolling Gunner can, in theory, be handled in the same manner as with the normal gameplay mode, players can instead aim the rolling gun using the right analog stick, allowing for the player's movement and rolling gun aim to be handled completely independent of one another. This allows the player to really fine-tune the efficiency of their attacks while keeping the Stork Fighter steady through dense enemy fire. The rolling gun can also be used to block enemy attacks. There's also a new type of fire called the Buster Beam, which is also shot alongside the player's shots at various intervals, indicated by a small gauge under the Stork. These Buster shots can clear bullets and heavily damage most enemies. Clearing bullets is definitely an important component to Rolling Gunner Overpower's gameplay, as a huge amount of firepower will be tossed at the player even in casual and novice mode. The Buster Beam can also be fired on its own, though we found no real point in doing so. There are also no bombers in Overpower. Instead, players have a shield gauge for each life in the stock. If the player loses all of their shield energy, they will be destroyed and a life will be lost. Starting with just 3 segments, lost energy can be recovered with a shield recovery pickup, indicated by a green diamond bearing an S. The gauge can also be increased with special max shield pickups that add a segment when collected. Like the original mode, players will collect medals that serve more purpose than simple score. Starting with green medals, players will build a counter in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen that increases to a maximum of 1,000. When this limit is reached, the Stork will be enveloped in a yellow aura that indicates that power-up mode can be engaged. When it is, all shots on the screen are cleared away and converted to medals. A circular indicator will show players how much of the power-up remains in correlation to the following number in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. All medals dropped in power-up will be red, and will build a secondary red limiter gauge within the yellow up power-up gauge surrounding the Stork. At any time in power-up, players can hit the power-up input again to enter limiter break mode. In limiter break, the power is boosted even further, but reduces faster than power-up. When limiter break ends, the power-up gauge will reset to 0. In all cases, larger medals will be awarded depending on what type of fire is used against specific enemies. While most medals are typically green or red, gold medals can also be collected, which fill up the power-up gauge much faster than the other types. The general overall control setup in Rolling Gunner Overpower is similar to other shooters that we've seen before. Remote Life, which we took a look at in review number 253, is a similar example, but unlike Remote Life, Rolling Gunner does it right on every level. On their own, these features are pretty intuitive. But using the key config menu, players also have full control over how they can map their inputs. Because any controller or keyboard can be used, the keys can be rebound in any configuration the player needs, including the bumpers, triggers, and even the buttons underneath the analog sticks of an Xbox-style pad. The control setup, therefore, can be customized to fit every single player absolutely perfectly. The control is so flexible in Overpower that any control scheme can be 100% optimal, based on the player's approach. In our case, we used the Hyperkin Duke, with twin-stick style movement and directed could Rolling Gunner fire in Fighter mode. Gunner mode fire via the right trigger and power up and limiter brake through the left trigger. The results made for a decent 1cc True Last boss clear on Casual, Normal, and a Stage 5 Expert single credit run. It's just that playable. Of course, rank also features heavily, this time starting with Casual, though higher difficulties will have a higher rank maximum. Generally speaking, the game will be harder the higher the rank is, with some bullet barrages being much harder to avoid as a result. Of course, while the rank will increase as players do well, it will also fall under various conditions as well, making for a great ebb and flow for the overall difficulty of the game. And it all feels fantastic too, blasting away enemy shots, clearing hundreds more for insane bonuses, and generally kicking insane amounts of ass the whole time. There's never a dull moment in Rolling Gunner Overpower, especially when suicide bullets start factoring into the gameplay. Gameplay like this makes us start rethinking the score system in our reviews to find a way to give it a 6 out of 5. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. Never mind our scoring system, let's take a look at Overpower's instead. Largely, the scoring in Rolling Gunner Overpower is the same as the vanilla mode. Meddling is the name of the game here, and the more that are collected, the better the player's score will be. In an interesting twist, the casual mode now sports the same kind of scoring hooks as normal and up from vanilla. Players will receive a score based on how many medals are collected when enemies are taken out. Up to 1,000 points apiece. This also coincides with the power-up abilities gauge, and gold medals increase the count faster. When power-up is enabled, a secondary count will appear and climb under the power-up gauge as medals are collected. This will result in a per-medal score that varies by medal size, plus the numeric value of the secondary count, to a maximum of 10,000 points apiece. But it goes even further. In limiter break mode, the bonus score is doubled to a maximum of 20,000 points. Paired with the largest medals, this can lead to some epic point payouts, especially when the screen is just flooded with shots ready to be converted to bonuses in a heated boss battle. Ultra satisfying! Stage End awards the player with a number of bonuses for collecting various medal types throughout the stage, and a no miss for every stage cleared without dying. Not only does losing shield strength without losing a life allow for a no miss, players can still get the boosted no miss bonus if they miss on a stage, but no miss on the next. However, a 6 times no miss is still the ultimate objective score-wise. But wait, there's more! At the end of the game, the player also receives a 150 million point bonus for every life left in the stock, and a bonus based on the amount of damage taken throughout the game. The lower, the better. Once again, there are no online leaderboards for Rolling Gunner Overpower, but as always, nothing prevents anyone from posting their high scores on a forum or social net of their choice. Rolling Gunner Overpower's presentation matches that of the original Rolling Gunner in most ways, and this isn't really much of a surprise, given that it's built on top of the original and not a separate release. All of the visual assets are more or less the same, but feature palette-swapped enemies and a few different shot types here and there. The added visuals for the Buster Beam Cannon are as players might expect, and the limiter break version is satisfyingly big. On the sound front, Overpower features arranged tracks from a number of composers that complement the original Casio tracks nicely. It gives Overpower more of its own identity as a result, and some of them sound truly excellent. If a new music CD came out for these tracks, it would also be an instant buy for us. When we took a look at Rolling Gunner on the Nintendo Switch, it featured new fully localized English language support. This is also carried over to the Japanese PC version, allowing for anyone in the world to enjoy not only the original release on PC, but also the Overpower content with full English support. Finally, as was the case with the original Rolling Gunner, its menus are clean and easy to follow. Basically, as with the original Rolling Gunner, the presentation in Overpower is one that really stands out, especially against other indie and doujin titles. Rolling Gunner Overpower is a digital add-on, but it's also kind of a physical release as well. It's basically a code on an included card, and the original Rolling Gunner DVD-ROM is required for it to be used. However, players also get a full-color, oversized English-Japanese manual and 6 postcard-style art pieces, including the download card, which is the same size. We put the cards in with the DVD case and kept the booklet separate. For about $15, that's pretty fair, and the 300 yen shipping option via the Nanapo store makes it cheap and easy to get. So, how does Rolling Gunner Overpower stack up? Let's take a closer look. The control in Rolling Gunner Overpower is so good it's almost unreasonable. It is definitely the ultimate setup for a game such as this, and it outclasses others with similar setups, especially versus the lackluster remote life. Rolling Gunner Overpower controls so well and gives the player such a decent balance of power versus the opposition they'll face that even a 1cc on Expert is highly possible. The 6-stage set from the original comes back in full force with way more bullets and the kind of scoring that makes replaying for higher values draw players back again and again. The visuals in Rolling Gunner Overpower are still excellent. The awesome backgrounds, great design, and clear bullets shine throughout. The new arranged tracks based on the Kozio originals complement the new release and give it more identity. The sound effects are, once again, excellent. When it comes to ingenuity, it's all about the control and power balance in Overpower. This new mode does incredible things with its hybrid twin-stick setup and awesome gameplay mechanics versus the even more intense bullet swarms players will face. It's just so good. Rolling Gunner Overpower is just 1,500 yen, and it's good enough that it really could have been its own disc-based release, in a Dodonpachi Daifukatsu Black Label style. However, it is also currently only a mail-order package. Links are available below. We knew that Rolling Gunner Overpower was going to be good, but we didn't know it was going to be this good. It's no small wonder though, Rolling Gunner could be the best shooting game to come out in the previous decade, and the Overpower add-on somehow plays even better than the Switch release, which itself is better than the PC OG. It's an add-on not to be missed, even if you have to get the original too, which, come on, you should all have it anyway. Rolling Gunner Overpower gets an overpowered 6 out of 5. Okay, yeah, I know, it gets a 5 out of 5. But it deserves a 6. You can get Rolling Gunner and the Overpower add-on at various places online. We prefer the Nanapo store, which is linked below. Can a DLC add-on be a Game of the Year contender? Cause this is definitely some excellent business right here. Even if it follows the same path more or less as the original, yeah, we're totally down. Up next, we have Project Starship on the Nintendo Switch for review number 261, followed by Cider Reloaded in 262.
Be sure to like, comment, and of course, subscribe. We finally got a copy of Hyperduel for the Sega Saturn and we'll be reviewing it once we hit 10,000 subscribers.